Okay, I really appreciate that. We're curious today to learn about the percentage of people who are still fully asleep.
I'm getting the number 12. So 12% of the human population are unaware of events that are going to be coming up. They have heard things and they read things, but they skim over it like it's science fiction and that it doesn't apply to them or their world. So they're totally not ready to hear or receive this information, even though it's in front of them daily. They get hints daily. So yeah, 12% is what I'm seeing.
Fantastic. And the purpose of them being asleep, what can you tell us?
They chose to be that way. They chose to live their entire existence here on planet Earth unaware of what's to come. As I'm thinking about it, even all the, and I don't know why this came up, but all the reptilians are even aware of it and accepting of it and making their plans. But not all the humans are, and all the other races. Everybody's in the know for their race 100% except for humans. They're the only ones that it seems their contracts when they came here, they didn't want to experience that process immediately. It's like they wanted the shock factor to experience that. And that's a lot of emotions that come along with the shock, the terror, the fear, all the lower emotions that you can experience all wrapped into one day almost, like a big bomb going off right in front of you. All the emotions will come right out of it and hit them in the face, and that's what they wanted.
What's the significance for that experience?
Once you go through something like that, it would be easier to guide another being that potentially could be coming up on the same experiences. As we've talked about before, there are other planets that are experiencing some of the lower negative energies and maybe headed to the same condition that Earth finds itself in today. Um, so, beings that can collect those emotions and send that information back to source for others to share and learn from. I know it's not the same as firsthand experience, but the stories are still there. So anyone that can learn from it, either firsthand or through research, will be able to help other beings in the future that will possibly have to be counseled, we'll call it, into knowing how to keep their vibrations high through extreme emotional conditions.
Okay, thank you so much. Really, really intriguing. Thank you. We were also very curious about the rocket that has no control in it, and it's going to re-enter into our atmosphere. This is labeled a Chinese rocket. What can you tell us about that, please?
It's similar to the one that SpaceX had a problem with last month. That one blew up over North America. This one that you're asking about, the Chinese rocket, it's still in, it's like a layer between outer space and our and Earth's gravitational reentry it's the rocket's there and it's orbiting Earth. But once it does enter our atmosphere, they won't know until then where this rocket will go, or even if it will impact Earth, blow up in the atmosphere on reentry. There's no control over this rocket. It wasn't planned to do this. It was supposed to like kick off and just float away from the planet itself and become space junk. But it didn't do that. Somehow it got sucked into this little, we'll call it a cushion in between layers. It doesn't look like it was purposely done. I don't see that it got hit by anything that would knock it into that orbit. It almost feels like it was programmed to do that from somebody on the surface of Earth. But their agenda, I'm not seeing why they would do that. One thing this rocket could do, if it has enough impact, if it were to blow up over any landmass, and it would be considered an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP. It could knock out all the electronics on the landmass directly below it. It would only have to be about 5 miles above the surface to affect. Like if it were to blow up over the United States, everything directly under it, depending on the impact, would lose all their electricity, their technology. It would affect cars because they're electronically wired now. So it could be used as a weapon, it looks like, as well. It could look harmless. It could look accidental, but it would serve a great purpose for knocking out somebody's technology, their comforts, their life support almost.
And so, obviously, from your perspective, being the high dimensional beings, you are monitoring this and observing this?
Yes, so far it hasn't. We don't see that the trajectory is headed over a landmass. It's not even enter the atmosphere yet, but once it does, we should be able to guide it to be over water, and that impact or explosion would be less likely to affect anyone.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's good to know. Um, we were wondering about the weather that was happening as well. It seems like things in the US are happening earlier than normal.
They are the seasonal cycles. They seem a bit delayed actually this year, and it's almost like they're trying to catch up, and that's why you're seeing more fierce storms developing. Spring was delayed a little bit in the area of the northern hemisphere. It looks like there was a little bit of weather manipulation going on, and there was some cold snaps that lasted a long time. And now springtime's trying to catch up and get back on its natural course. And this is making the weather develop in a harsh manner. Earth is not used to being manipulated. It has its own flow and purpose and its own cleansing. And the more that man screws with it, it reacts and it rebels. And this is one of the effects that you'll find is the harsher weather, the more threatening storms, the flooding. It's all a reaction to the manipulation.
And can you give us the significance and the purpose of the manipulation?
Control. Men in power love control, from the biggest of things to the smallest of things. And if they can affect your weather, they feel like they're in control of you. If they can affect the whole country's weather, they know they are in control of them because it will affect their crops, their livelihood, their well being. It's been going on for a long time. It looks like they're amping up how much they actually condition the environment. They used to only like fly their airplanes through and spray out chemicals. Now they use a bunch of antennas that heat up the ionosphere, and it creates a bubble. And they can move that bubble around, and that's where you can pinpoint greater storms. Very interesting. But they've been practicing that for years too, but they're just getting really good at it now. It's virtually harmless, but Mother Nature is reacting more now because they are doing it more frequently.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want us to know about the weather?
The weather's going to naturally change even without the interference of certain projects that scientists and men are carrying on. There'll be the opposite of birthing pains. You'll see the earth go through, but it will still be a change in the demeanor and the structure of the whole planet. It'll be hard to tell the difference at first. But the scientists that use the equipment to manipulate the weather, they'll know they're not doing it. And so it may be public that these newer storms are, and that's what they're doing now actually, because they're like steering clear even in the ocean around hurricanes and such. They started that last year. And they used to not do that because some of these ships were more than capable of going through a hurricane. But now they're setting their courses even before they leave ports to go around these storms if they're forecasted. So the changes in our planet have already started to happen, and the scientists have shared this with certain industries, saying these storms are, these are real, these aren't us. Very interesting times coming up.
Indeed. Thank you so much. It was really, really insightful. Are you able to let me know about? I just get the sense that something big is happening, and I'm just curious if this is the sense of the shift or if it's something else.
No, you're reading it correctly. It's a prelude to this planet shifting. All the players, we'll call them, whether it be humanity, the animal kingdom, nature, all of us are preparing in our own natural ways. We have a time clock. We'll call it an hourglass. And most of the sand's already dripped to the bottom. There's not many granulars left. So, what you're feeling is the anticipation of the final speck dropping, and it's not very far off.
Thank you so much. And in terms of what are we waiting for in terms of the shift to 5D, can you give me, obviously I don't want public information about the date of the shift, but can you give me some clarification of what we're waiting for it to unfold and take place?
Gaia has the final decision. Um, it's very hard to get a sense on what she actually wants to do. She's always been a nurturer and a supporter, so she doesn't want to leave that role here. She doesn't want to endanger anything, but she's also knowing that if she stays beyond the time that could support her, it would be more devastating. So she's trying to balance out the perfect timing, and it's a struggle for her. That might be also some of the reasons we're seeing more intense storms. She's been focused on preparations, and where she used to be able to balance out, we'll say, the jet streams and how the oceans flow, that also, of course, controls some of the weather. She's not lacking in her job. She's more focused on preparing to leave. And so it's not a priority to watch the weather as closely. And that's since that support's gone from her, not entirely gone, but it's not the forefront of her thoughts. The weather will get worse and worse. So there's some signs there. And the support of the atmosphere that we have around our earth. There are other races that are help balancing that. And we talked about that rocket a minute ago. They're fully aware of that, and it looks like it will blow up in the atmosphere and not hit land. Does that answer your question? I know I got off topic a minute.
It's absolutely fine. I understand when different collectives come in and different information happens and occurs during sessions. So I fully respect and honor that. And all the information that you give is always enlightening to us. So I really appreciate it. And so, in terms of Gaia being the nurturer and still undecided of the timing, I mean, obviously, her mindset is not in 3D. Would that be correct? She actually does have a higher dimensional mindset.
Yes, you would be correct on that. She's been very patient, more patient than anyone could possibly imagine, on staying here while humanity has its experiences fulfilled, their contracts ending, learning their lessons. But there's so many that did it slowly, painfully slowly to her, that it's tiresome. And yeah, she is ready to go. It may it won't be a surprise. She has made agreements, it looks like, with outer support from different species that are here to help humanity. She's made an agreement with them to give them fair warning so they have time to react and implement their plans. I don't see any concern for us to be left behind, forgotten. We'll definitely be well taken care of. what may happen though is some of the experiences that souls wanted to complete might be cut short, and they may have to re-enter a different 3D planet, or just be satisfied with the experiences they did receive while they were here. It it does look urgent.
Mhm.
So if I were a human on planet Earth, I would be very grateful for each and every day, live it to its fullest, clean up my messes, forgive, love, learn to expand, and I wouldn't hesitate another moment. There's no time to procrastinate. The more you do all your work and take care of your body, the smoother the transition and transport will be for you.
Fantastic. And for those people that are not experiencing any ascension symptoms or noticing any energy, what would the advice be that you would like them to know?
The ones that are not awake, well, they will they will be handled differently. They will be almost immediately put into some type of sleep therapy, I'll call it. Um, they'll leave this planet without the knowledge of leaving the planet. Otherwise, it may be too traumatic of an experience. They're the ones that not all of them lived in fear, they just didn't believe. And to be woken up in such a shocking manner, it would be a little traumatic to their souls. They're not ready for that experience. That's not something that they bargained on. So they'll be handled differently. They will be unconscious, as were others that are awake even a little bit. They'll have the full experience. It would be like imagining it's not really floating off this earth. It's more of a translucent transporting and floating at the same time. It's kind of lovely. It's very colorful. If you embrace it and not fear it, it'll be one of your most favorite experiences to recall.
That is such a fantastic approach because we've heard so many times that resistance to this um, would sort of take away the beauty in the experience, and we must accept it and surrender and to appreciate it. But I think a lot of people, when they hear this information about the shift, they suddenly cling on to their bodies and freak out and go into that concern.
The only thing they're not considering is even though they view Earth as their home, the only thing they've known, you could view it as I've lived in many houses on this planet. You're just moving to a different house.
Without the hassle of selling and packing.
Exactly. And you're moving to a newer, brighter, fresher house. Don't be afraid to let go. There's so much more that is I can't even convey to you how perfect and so much better it is. If you're clinging on to this, it would be like holding on to a teddy bear that you had as a child. It's all dirty and the eyes are falling out and there's just no way to repair it anymore. And what's waiting for you is a brand new stuffed animal, bright and shiny, fluffy, soft. You need to go towards the newness, a new beginning, new ideas, new love, and approach it with the biggest, most open mind and open heart that you can muster. Once you're full of that, you won't miss anything on earth.
Fantastic. Such a great perspective and reminder, because I think people do forget those details because they're still holding on to their what they view as valuable, their money, their income, their status, all of that kind of nonsense.
None of that is important. That is a human trap. It's a trap. It kept you basically as a slave, as a prisoner. Your energy, you were always giving it away for the wrong reasons, the wrong purpose. Once you're past the 3D boundaries of this planet, especially this planet, you will feel it immediately, and you will know the truth behind ownership, love, valuables. Um, the material things that people worship here, collect, they feel like the one with the most at the end wins. They don't. It's just everything here is turns back to dust. It's nothing. What's important is the emotions you carry with you, the experiences you carry with you, the love you carry with you, the compassion, and all the lessons, of course, and knowledge that you've gained.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May everyone have this more bigger perspective on the purpose and the importance and significance of life. Because seeing so many people just seem so obsessed with the materialism and the egos that it's must be just so hard for them to approach life that way.
Yes, pride gets in the way of a lot of people. They have to know the most, or they have to be the first to know. They have to have the most friends, the biggest house. Off this planet, I know I keep saying that, but this is where you live. None of that is important. Relationships are important. Integrity is important. Honesty. But that's all naturally in you. And once you're free of the bonds here, everything that you're made of, everything that you are, immediately comes back to you. And you'll be able to have what I've heard call as the life review. And you will see some of your worst moments and, of course, your best moments. There's no judgment, it's all love. You all learned from it.
Indeed. I have heard in a session before that people are experiencing almost their life reviews as they are being triggered to unpack and unfold all of their inner work.
That is true. The more you can do now before you shift, you're actually lightening y- your lightening your load. You're taking the responsibilities that you've held on to that aren't yours anymore, because now it's all just experience for everyone to share. So as you go through your life reviews and you understand what you were supposed to learn from it, you'll also see what others will learn from it, because there will be different perspectives, and you'll be able to view it as a globe, and you can spin it and see it this way, spin it back and see it the other. But if while you're doing your inner work now, that's or unpacking, you have to be doing a life review program as well. That is where all your work is coming from, everything that you experience, And that is, of course, your triggers from your past that you're dealing with. But it will make you lighter, and your transition will be so much smoother. So if you've already started the life review process, you are definitely going to experience this in a much different perspective, more loving, more knowledge. It'll be beautiful for you.
Fantastic. And for those who haven't done their life review but are shifting to New Earth, how will they get that opportunity?
Depending on how they can work through some of their traumas and triggers and tribulations, you have three T's there to work on. Anyway, everybody's process is different. They will they can choose to take their time, of course, and sort out things. They'll have plenty of help. Their spiritual team, other members of humanity that have shifted will be available to help them process this. It's preferred to have this work all done before you get to the new destination. So you will possibly be living on ships until you know that you're ready. You're ready to enter the new dimensional family that's going to be waiting for you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. In terms of the concept, I sort of know something about, but not a lot. So I'm just going to have to ask for the most appropriate collective to come in to be able to help us with this question. I'm curious about the hybrid children. And some people say that there is a hybrid children program. And I'm just curious to find out and learn more about one aspect of the significance of this hybrid children experience.
Hybrids have been existing on planet Earth for thousands of years. Don't view them as an outcast. They have a spiritual being, a soul. They have contracts. They are galactically accepted as beings and citizens. Some are even held in high regard. They have free will while they're here. Their outer appearance is just like other members of humanity. What more were you wanting to know about them?
I'm curious about the people who are here on Earth who know that they have hybrid children that are not on this planet. They've either experienced harvesting of eggs or semen, and they have had sessions where they have learned that they have had hybrids that are not physically with them.
Some of them hybrids are used to seed other planets. They're bringing with them DNA that contains knowledge and other attributes that are needed to support that species and to help it grow. They're doing their life contract for that particular planet, and it's not a harmful thing. This planet was seeded as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm very curious about it. So, for someone to have a hybrid child, is it really just a copy of their own DNA? that is really an extension of self versus an actual child. I'm curious if part of one's own consciousness or spark is added into it, or if it's a new consciousness and spark that is added into the body of the hybrid.
It's a new spark, which of course comes along the consciousness with it. I also was seeing that some of the hybrids that are here on Earth, they're here, and is crossbreeding a terrible term? That's what I'm seeing, to make the hybrid. But there was a purpose to mix the DNAs to, in the future, have a better understanding between different races. And that's what I'm seeing on some of them that are left here. And the hybrids that, where the eggs were harvested and they were crossbreeding different species and DNAs and seeding planets, it was so they could acclimate to their environments and they didn't have to evolve over thousands of years before they would be able to inhabit that planet.
It's fascinating. And for those people who know about their hybrid children, do you get a sense that in those cases they will be reunited, or is it not always a given?
The humans that are here, once they're out of the 3D bondage, will have a different outlook. It'll be more compassionate. They won't live in fear about it. They won't feel the loss. So yes, the beings that they feel that they're separated from, they can reunite later if that's their will.
Yes, I do feel that there would be a sense of disconnection and loss, especially when they can connect with them. All the emotions are attached to it. And so I did wonder if it was to give them more understanding of the realities of this lifetime and the existence of other beings. I feel like it's such a complex situation and topic, and I feel sorry for those people who have that sadness. It's not a grief, but it's a longing.
Those parents that are feeling the separation, they were given great opportunities with these experiences because not everyone, very few, can live through what they've gone through. They of course they'll be able to reunite if that's their will once they're off of this 3D planet. The loss was different. Some of them almost had a shameful guilt because there is a taboo about alien hybrids and just being different in general. So some of them looks like they hid the fact while grieving in darkness. It was very, very hard for them.
Mm.
Some were just pissed off. It shouldn't have happened. There's a very, very large range of emotions when it comes to this.
Indeed. Yeah. And I'm assuming in all cases it's contractual and the higher self and subconscious give permission for the harvesting.
Definitely, yes. It would be a crime just to take parts off of somebody's body, whether it be internal or external, for the advancement of another species. That's not allowed. So it definitely has to be agreed upon.
Thank you. And so it's just perception of the situation, understanding that when you were making life contracts, this was part of the experience and the significance that you wanted.
Yes, it was a hard one for almost everybody that agreed to this. But then again, a lot of the experiences of here are very hard. That would be tremendously hard because if they were off planet, there's no way to rectify the problem. It's not like you can go find them, search for them, even. You just know they exist.
Mm,
And the longing, the long distance part of it, not even knowing where would I look. But you will have that knowledge and that information after you shift, and if you go forward with that desire that you have right now.
yeah.
But once you leave here, your focus may be on something else, and you may in the future, very far future, meet up with that being, but you will still know each other, and you will share in respect and love.
Mm, thank you. Would it be an accurate assumption that the parents who know about their hybrid children and have that sense of longing and connection, they are already recognize that soul because potentially they've had other lifetimes together?
Yes, it's very, very possible. Those parents, when they entered, some of them, when they entered the contract, they had specific DNA that was very valuable because it was going to be blended with another species DNA. And it was going to be a perfect match to, like I said, create a DNA that could be more suitable for a planet that needed the support. Um, so when they agreed upon it, there are, of course, other souls when you create another being. That's not the way I want to say it. But I don't want to say baby either. But when the eggs are taken out, that's a part of their DNA. It's soul doesn't really enter until the egg is starting to develop. And that being that goes into that may or may not have had other lives. I'm not seeing any examples on how that's going to go. It's too far removed.
Okay, thank you. And for those ones who have connections to their hybrid children off planet, obviously there is significance for them to have this connection and
Yeah. If they already have the connections,
yeah.
and if that was your question, I missed it. I'm sorry. But if they already have the connections, then definitely yes, they had other lifetimes together. They crossed paths. They were a soul family. Yes, they knew each other.
Nice. Okay. And in terms of the collection of the eggs, for example, does everyone have to be taken on board ships or is there something, how does the harvesting actually work?
It is easier if you are taken to the facilities that will be manipulating the DNA. Um, a lot of them, a lot of women. I don't see very many here that were accosted here. Actually, I see one facility where humans are extracting the eggs and they're in storage until they're collected by the ones that need them. So, no, you don't always have to go off Earth in an abduction style. there are facilities on planet Earth that collect the eggs as well. It looks like women think they're donating them, and they are. They just don't know what they're donating for.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you so much. And so, because I've had a few of these experiences with clients and sessions about their hybrid children, but I haven't been able to scratch into much more because it's a very emotional experience, and I don't want to pry too much when managing a session with a client. So I really appreciate your insight and perspective of this. I find it incredibly intriguing, and there's just so much fascination with this. So thank you very much.
I hope the women that are feeling distressed, I want them to find comfort. They are doing a great service. I know there's a lot of emotions attached, and that makes it very hard to look at it as just a project. But what they've done is help so many, many more. And it goes well beyond this planet on who they've helped. And they've always been sent love and respect and support. I would only want to send them love right now too, to help heal them and get them through the process of all the grieving and fear that they've gone through.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will send profound love and honor and respect to all that involved with this. I guess they are evolving humanity as well as being involved with this situation. So I profoundly want to send love and healing to all. Now it just feels very fascinating, and I'm trusting that when we have finished this 3D, we are able to understand and see things from a much bigger perspective, and have connections profoundly more than we can here now.
Yes, that is an absolute. Everybody will experience, upgrade. All these words and labels that are used don't even tell the full story of what you will truly experience. All the knowledge that you've forgotten, all the knowledge that you learned here that you'll take forward, it's all combined, and it's just fabulous. You will be so amazed and surprised on everything you see, feel, touch, smell, love. Everything's waiting for you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. We do have some more curiosities to pick your brains at, shall we say, even though we know you're a conscious collective and you don't physically have brains, but I'll keep with that.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask one practical question and then one gossip question. The practical question is, a lot of people are coming and asking about their runny noses. They're having very strong runny noses and they're not too sure what's happening. I'm assuming it's upgrade, but I want to know more about the purpose of the upgrade. What is that? What is actually happening for them?
There's also extra pollen in the air this year. As far as the trees, they are also finding their purpose and their leaving points, not what I want to say, but they also know everything's coming to an end. They're shedding their extra residue, we'll call it. And of course, that's going to go in the air. Humans are allergic to this. And then when there's abundance, it's more pronounced. That's what I see going on with that.
Oh, so it is pollen as well that is impacting. So can you give me an understanding of why there is the abundance of the pollen?
The trees are basically preparing themselves to not be here anymore. They are also sensitive to the fact that their planet as well, Gaia, is not supporting in the same manner. So they're lightening their load, so to speak, and getting rid of more of their pollen than they normally do in a season. Does that answer the question there?
Yes. So I'm just trying to understand for them to produce more pollen. Um,
It's not that they're producing more, they're shedding more. They always have pollen, they're just shaking off more.
oh, oh,
They're releasing more than they do normally. But
oh,
it's not a production thing. They're trying to not evolve themselves, they're trying to lighten their load as well. They're preparing for any shift that they may go through as well.
I see.
And it's a natural. It's not like they naturally know what's coming up, but they sense what's coming up, and they're preparing themselves. Just like we as humans are preparing in a different way. Ours is more emotional and inner work. They are. This is what they're doing to prepare themselves. The trees, the plants.
Oh, and so for those people with the constant runny noses, what would you like them to know, and how can we help them the most?
I had this vision. It was terrible, but it was kind of funny to me. These masks that you're made to make should be helping you because you're not breathing it in.
Oh,
That's that might not be funny. I thought it was funny,
oh, I thought you were
but
blow your nose on the masks, but
no,
that's
you can't do that. But if you're wearing a mask, it's, of course you're not going to breathe in as much pollen. So the areas that are still have that mandate, it might be less of a concern for them. I know that there's some herbal plants and teas that help with the sinus area that will help alleviate some of the runny noses that people are experiencing. Also, um, vapors, aromatherapy, steamy hot water with certain aromas will help that too. It'll clear the head and help with the sinus passages.
nice. Okay, well, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. That does make so much sense. And is there anything else you would want people to do with their bodies when they're noticing anything else? Is there anything else that is actually going on that we may assume could be an ascension symptom, but actually is because of something we haven't factored in before?
I know that people are experiencing headaches. The ones that are generally in the back of your head, the base of your head, those are generally related to stress. Um, people are those people try too hard and they put the stress on themselves. I see that the headaches that you have on top of your head, those are more ascension symptoms.
Hmm.
Some people just call a headache, but different parts of the head will indicate if it's ascension or something that you are experiencing because of your environment.
Mm, fantastic. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's just amazing. It's great. I love learning so much more. And so we do have a what we would consider a gossip curiosity question. And I am wondering about the public disclosure on a marriage between two well known, very wealthy um, individuals. We will just refer to them as Gates. We're curious about why is it significant or important for us to know about their marriage now?
It looks like it's being placed in the public eye as a falsehood. It doesn't look like they're really getting separated, but they want the public to think they are, because it looks like some of this manipulation they've done through medicines, vaccines, is going to hit them hard. If they separate, they think that they could save some of their money because one will have more blame placed on them than the other. So they're doing it for financial reasons.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Thank you. And what else can you tell us about them, please?
They're not entirely real. They're controlled by others. They're definitely not to be trusted. I know sometimes with fame and fortune, you get a lot of respect bestowed on you, but these are some people that you don't count on them to be loyal to you. That will never happen.
Do we know or are we aware of the people who are controlling that couple?
No, I don't. I can't share that. I can't see that.
That's fine. Thank you so much. And in terms of um, the photos, in particular the wife, is it just different photography, different angles, different ages of her, or is something else going on there for her?
She doesn't appear to look the same. Her nose is definitely different looking than before. I know that can be attributed to lighting, but use your discernment and look at all the details. You have the answer.
Well, yes, because I've covered this in a few sessions, but I'm curious just to hear what you have to say.
Oh, okay. Then I won't be so coy. They are they are different because they're clones. They they got them as close as they could. It sounds crazy to do plastic surgery on a clone. So they felt like the public's ignorance was enough to get these two by. There's more of them than just these two, but they don't feel the public looks close enough at all the details, so they don't have to be perfect when they replicate.
And
So what you're seeing is a replication, and the originals are not breathing.
mhm. Can you give us a summary of the reason why they are no longer breathing for the originals?
They were also found guilty when it came to crimes against humanity. Theirs were based on children and then based on manipulation of medicines, definitely. And those were their two major offenses were in those areas, and they were found guilty and eliminated.
Hmm.
And they've been eliminated 2 years, over 2 years.
Okay, thank you so much. Was there some sort of tribunal or something else to um, that?
There is a lot of processes that went along with this that I can't disclose, but maybe one day soon we could do that. But it cannot be today.
Thank you. I respect that. Thank you very much. And so, in terms of clones, because some people assume it could be actors and they're referring to different photos that may look like different actors. Is this just to help people understand? Or
People believe that everything's real, so a stand-in sounds much more accepted than an actual recreation and something artificial. But they're artificial. They're not stand-ins. They're not humans that are playing a role of these two.
thank you so much. And so, in terms of creating a clone, um, it feels like there's a lot of advanced technology that we have no clue about that is responsible for this clone production.
Yes, you're correct on that. There's a lot of secrets that have never been released to the public, nor will that disclosure happen. Time is short. There's not enough time left to tell the world everything that's gone on that they were not informed of. Once you meet your destinations that are in your future, everything will be all the history of Earth, all the history of Earth will be available. And anyone that wants to learn, and there'll be many that wanted to satisfy their souls or figure out why they went through certain things. That information's available, and they can learn and read or have telepathy with each other and find out anything they want to know. But that won't be here. That will be later and in another place.
Thank you. That's why I kind of feel like some of these questions, when we do ask about specific people, does feel a bit gossipy because we really should be focusing on our inner work and dealing with our 3D and not the entertainment factor of the illusions that are going on publicly.
Well, along with the gossip, when you ask the questions, you still get a background of truth. So it all has its purpose, and it still enlightens people, and whatever resonates with them, they learn from that, and they learn how to discern, and they learn how to use their intuition. So it's all for great purposes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And I know that Karen was having a conversation with her husband about was it the rocket that I asked at the earlier in the session, or is it an asteroid that he asked uh, what that may contain and have with? And we were having this conversation about if it was a virus or bacteria. Did I
It
misunderstand?
was it was the rocket that is out of control,
Mhm.
that they can't just decide where it's going to land or where it's going to enter. Um, but he asked her, "What's this going to bring with it?" Because a lot of times when things come from outside of this planet's realm, it will have a bacteria, different bacteria that came from other places with it. Um, it could be a ploy, but it could also be used as a weapon that we discussed earlier.
Yes, thank you.
But mainly when the bacterias come to Earth, it's actually a space rock that came from another planet, and a lot of them, it looks like a destroyed planet. And those bacterias can live forever. If they hit our Earth as a meteor, it will it can spread and breed, of course, here, that bacteria. And I think that's what he was referring to, kind of in a joking manner.
Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Good. Sorry, I just noticed my penmanship has turned to absolute custard, and I realized I did want to know if it was going to be something about bacteria or viruses being introduced into our atmosphere, just because I'm nosy. So thank you very much. I'm just going to double check if I had any more questions. I just find it so fascinating to have these sessions. I think we're done. Is there any other information you'd like us to be being disclosed today?
I do want to pass a message on. There are many people that are working so hard to improve their inner self. They need to relax. All this stuff comes naturally. I think sometimes that we try too hard to look on the outside and bring it within, but it's already in there. All you got to do is sit quiet for a second. And you can even ask yourself, what did I do today that I really loved? Do I really love myself? You can ask yourself the hardest questions, and you need to wait for the honest answers. And that's true growth. That's an exercise that would be a springboard. So promote the love, share the love. And if you can share anything that you know will help humanity grow, don't hold back. Don't be shy. Don't judge yourself. Put it out there. Expose yourself, because we all love you and there is no judgment.
Nice. I guess people who want to share the information, they want to help humanity and not be a part of the problem, which is keeping the truth within us and not sharing.
Those are the ones that are unsure of themselves, and they're a little bit hesitant. They want to blame it on shyness, but it's more a lack of confidence. And I just want to raise them up and let them know that they are truly loved. They are never alone. The support is there. So please share what you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So true. So true. And I think it is about being honest within self, about our behavior, our actions, and our reactions. And if we are truly doing our inner work, or whether it just seems like right now it seems cool to speak spirituality words, but not actually apply it or have any intention of understanding the meaning of those words.
Well, there's a perfect plan in play, and that's the one that involves distraction. The more that they can distract humanity, the more they think they will actually be able to capture more energy for their own purpose later. So, to protect yourself and love yourself, that is the very best way to show it, is to continue your inner work and your growth.
Absolutely. And it all comes from within. So if we're seeking attention, approval, we have to give it to ourselves first rather than find it externally.
Yes. But on the outside, one thing that you can do is support others, show them that they're supported, build their confidence. Because while you're doing that and you see them grow, you're going to grow along with them. That's also a natural occurrence. The more you help others and you see their growth, you can actually see the path they got there on, and you can grow with them.
What about those people who feel jealous that other people are growing and expanding? It seems like they kind of go backwards or get stubborn.
Jealousy is a girlfriend of fear. I that's a very it's a very hard emotion to overcome. You're very low in your confidence. When you're jealous of somebody, you want to emulate them. And I guess imitation is the highest form of jealousy there can be. Can also be a high compliment. Um, that's a very hard one to work out. You have to love yourself. There's just no doubt to get rid of jealousy. You cannot be concerned or compare yourself all the time with somebody else, their work, their emotions, their possessions. It can be a hard thing to shake for some, but promoting the self love, doing things for yourself, helping others, those distractions will go away, and you won't need to compare yourself anymore. You won't have time. Jealousy can fit away. So find your own niche and your own talents and let them blossom and bring them forward.
Fantastic. I always find when people have reactions and do things, and they need to ask what their intention and their true agenda is. Are they doing it truly to be a kind person, or are they doing it to appear kind and to have approval of others? The whole thing's fascinating. I freaking love it.
Yeah, but your intuition should definitely be able to answer that one for you.
Indeed. Indeed. But not that many people like that truth when I am reflecting it upon them.
Well, do you mean people don't like to be discovered?
Well, they're trying to lie to themselves so much, it frustrates them when they realize that other people can see their truth.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, homework for everyone: love yourselves and empower yourselves as much as you can, because you want to do this work on this side in the 3D, then be delayed to the new earth or returning home or somewhere else.
That is a big yes. Do everything you can for yourself and also help the ones around you as much as possible because that also helps you.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Fantastic. I really appreciate everything. Is there any final messages that you want to share with us?
Not at this time.
Fantastic. I really appreciate all that you have provided for us, even the super gossipy one.